Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to the final installment today for our Student Story Week. Today, we've been focusing on different colleges and universities. Tomorrow, we'll pick it back up, but I'm really excited to end with this super unique study destination. So in this session, we're going to be talking about life as a student in Japan. So super interesting, super cool. And we're here with Anastasia. So Anastasia, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to hear about how your experience has been. But before we get into it, why don't you tell the viewers where you're from, kind of introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Anastasia, or Anastasia, if you just pronounce it like it's supposed to be pronounced. So I'm from Russia. I'm 21 years old, and it's my third year living in Japan and my second year studying at a Japanese university.
Wow. Okay, so you've been there for a while. You've had some time to get adjusted and kind of feel settled in. So, ooh, this is going to be interesting. What brought you to Japan? Like, what made you choose? You know, you said 2 years studying, and so was there a first year that you were there doing something else?
Yes, I went to Japanese language school for my first year in Japan, and really, what brought me to Japan was anime.
Okay.
It's a reason that not many people like to talk about. I mean, in Russia, if you tell anyone that you like anime and you're going to want to go to Japan, you're going to be looked down at because
Really?
yeah, that sounds childish in a way for some
Mm-hmm.
people, but I really think that if you have a dream, you have to just go for it, whatever anyone thinks. So
For
I
sure.
I I started watching anime about 9 years ago. So
Mm-hmm.
my first anime was Bleach, and I watched that thing, and I thought, what's this cool language they're speaking? And I learned it
Uh-huh.
was Japanese, and I wanted to speak it too. So I started taking Japanese lessons, and one thing led to another. And at one moment, I found myself dreaming about going there. And I went as a tourist first in 2017, and all the time after that, I was doing my best to try and get into a university. It took some time, but eventually I came here as a Japanese language student, and then I proceeded to go to iCLA, to the university. And
Oh,
really, it's the atmosphere for me, because you just come here and every day is like anime. I don't know.
that's
Some
so
people say
cool.
they have different experience of that. They say they had those pink rose glasses and they
Uh-huh.
broke down. But for me, I wake up every day and I look out and it's sakura blossoming outside. It's like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Like you said, if you have a dream, go for it. And it's not for everyone. Some people go in with different expectations of how their experience might play out. And, I've studied abroad myself and I've had friends, I loved my experience. And then I had friends who couldn't wait to go home, so it's really a personality thing, I think, and it depends on what your motivation is for being there. But I think that's so cool that anime is kind of what attracted you. And it's interesting to hear you mention kind of how anime is perceived in Russia. I live in Mexico, and here there's actually recently I've started noticing there's kind of a growing anime culture here. Now there's a lot of anime on Netflix. So people are getting really into it and talking about it. So I think Mexico might be a new market where students are going to start traveling to Japan. So that's really cool. When I was younger, I was obsessed with the Harajuku style. I like dreamed of being a Harajuku girl. I thought that was like the coolest expression ever. But I still haven't had the chance to go to Japan. I would love to.
Yeah, I think it's been becoming easier and easier to come to Japan. I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, economics all over the world are all over the place, and some people don't have the opportunity, but it's easier in terms of visa. And even if you don't have the funds to go as a full-time student, you can go to Japanese language school for 3 months
Hmm.
or 1 month, and I think that's very cool. And I hope Japan reduces its visa requirements even more in the future.
Yeah, it just makes it more accessible for students who have that dream. It's just one less obstacle keeping them from that. So yeah, that's a great point. Now thinking about your time as a student, what's the best part about specifically being a student in Japan? What's that like?
Mm, I think it might be a little bit personal, but I think my favorite thing about being a foreign student in Japan is how everyone is so excited to meet me. That might sound a
Oh,
little bit
really?
selfish, yeah, but and of course I look European, and so I might get a little bit more kindness from other people. I acknowledge that, but in my experience, everyone is so, wow, where are you from? And I say Russia, and no one knows anything about Russia here except the usual things like bears and balalaikas. So um, everyone asks how I am, what am I doing, how I came to study, and I don't know, this kind of attention from people, it really warms my heart, and it gives me so much motivation. And I think most of the foreign students who come here will experience that. And everyone is so attentive, and also this part, the next part might be a little specific. So I'm not a very usual student because I studied iCLA, and it's a full English uh,
Right.
universities institution. So um, our teachers are mostly non-Japanese, but there are Japanese teachers, but they mostly teach Japanese, and all the lessons are in English, and they are all so respectful. I think that in Japanese-speaking universities, it's the same, but here at iCLA, if you have any misunderstanding, you can ask the professor. You can say, I don't think this is the way to talk, or anything. So it's just been my experience that one time professor said something. I'm like, yeah, don't talk to me like that. Of course, I didn't put it in such terms. It was nice to see them attentive to that, respectful to that. They
Right.
said, yeah, I'm sorry to have disturbed you in that way, so I won't do that again. And if there are some misunderstandings you cannot resolve by yourself, you can always go to the admin office, and they always help you. They don't leave you on your own. And that's not something you see in Russia a lot. So in Russia, if something happens in the university, you just get told, it's the university, deal with it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of sad. But here they are all very attentive and respectful. And I think that's the thing for most of the Japanese universities.
Yeah, that's super unique, kind of having that mutual respect. Like it's not authoritarian of like, I'm the professor, so I'm up here and you're down here because you're the student. I think in lots of different places, that's an issue where students don't feel they can freely speak up or if they disagree, especially at the university level, when you're in lectures and you're in classes where you're able to form your own opinion about things. And yeah, sometimes professors don't really welcome that dialogue. So that's cool to hear that at iCLA, you can kind of have that connection with your professors and speak up about what you want to speak up about. Now, I know you wanted to go to Japan and that was your dream, but did you face any culture shock or any challenges when you first arrived?
I did, yeah. And my first year in Japan was in Japanese language school. So I mostly interacted with people from other places, mostly from Southeast Asia. And before coming to Japan, I was sure, I was positive I will never talk to any Russian anymore, because I didn't come to Japan to talk to Russian people. But 2 years later, I find myself with like 5 Russian friends and no other foreign friends. No,
It's easy to do that though. It's so
yeah,
easy to do
because
that.
you just fall into this pattern of talking to people you are familiar with, and so I was so sure that it's easy to make foreign friends, but it appears that particularly with people from Southeast Asia, I didn't have much interaction with others. They they have they have been brought up in a very different environment from me, and it appeared quite hard to become really friends with them. So there were a lot of misunderstandings, and we had to work hard to just uh, work together in some group projects
Right.
or else. In the university, though, people appear to be more open-minded. So I haven't had that kind of problems in the university here. And considering the Japanese people that I have met here, maybe it's mostly they really like their traditions, how the way everything has been done. It should be done the way it's been done before. And every time that you suggest anything new, any new ways, they're like, do we have to
I don't know about that.
you know about that? Yeah, and they say, well, it's been done like that for a lot of time. And you say, well, it's good that it has been, but you have to develop, you have to change. And also, I think many people note that Japanese people might seem really friendly. Then they say, we should hang out sometime. And then they never hang out with you.
Yeah.
Because it was
Oh my
just
God.
politeness. But I noticed that too. I've been let's hang out it sometimes, very many times, but somehow I haven't been offended. I haven't felt like that is a problem. It's something that happens, yeah, but it's not hurtful, I think.
Yeah, that's so funny that you mentioned that. I feel like me and you are so similar when it came to when I did a study abroad in Mexico. I was like, same mindset as you. Like, I came here to learn Spanish. I want to immerse myself. I'm not going to hang out with the other Americans, and I felt like I had really good friends, but the culture where I was studying and the city I was in, it was very traditional and very like that state wanted to be its own country kind of thing. So it was, a very different perspective of the people, and they were wonderful to me when I was there as a student. But then when I moved back, it was like, oh no, you're an outsider. And it took me a long time to learn that difference of people, same thing, making plans, saying, oh yeah, let's go get ice cream tomorrow at 5 p.m. I'll pick you up. And then I'm sitting there at 5 p.m. and like no one shows up, and I'm like, oh, did they ditch me? But then I learned it wasn't against me personally. It was just the way things were done. But yeah, those things can definitely take some time to get used to. But it seems like you had a good handle on it. You had a good, you had like a strong skin about it,
Yeah, I think the important thing is if something in your mindset or in the conditions around you changes when you come, you shouldn't fight it. Some people come and they find that Japan is not for them, and it's okay. You can just go back and some people say, yeah, but so much money has been spent. Well, money is for being spent. It exists for this sole purpose, and so you just go back to where you feel comfortable. And particularly with the intercultural communications, it is not going to go as you expect it to go all the time. So if you only can find friends of your own nationality at some point in time, it's okay. I mean, the main thing is that you have someone to support you, someone to share your feelings with. So it's quite all right, and you shouldn't beat yourself up about it if it happens.
That's true. And it's all about just being flexible, going with the flow, and, not going in with any particular expectation. You're going into a new country, a new culture. Things aren't going to be done the same way you do them. So you shouldn't expect that. And I think when people understand that, that's when they tend to have a better experience, when they just go in open about it. I want to know, though, more on like the, student life side, or just, being a young woman in Japan. What kind of things do you like to do in your downtime when you're not studying? Like on the weekends, what do you do?
Oh, I think the thing I do the most is watching movies, mostly those that I have watched before. But I also love karaoke. I don't know what I have done with my life before I came here, because here karaoke, I don't know about other countries, but in Russia, when you say karaoke, you mean a restaurant with like 50 places and everyone takes turns singing in front of everyone. So, and here you have this separate rooms for each client, and it's so cool.
Wow.
You just like your own sound studio without recording, of course, but still just your
Oh,
own
that's such a
space.
good idea.
Yeah, and that feels so nice, and I really love singing. I sing in the shower. I sing while making breakfast. I sing all the time. I can't say I do it well, but I do sing
Aw.
a lot. So it's really, I think, only in Japan experience. And
It makes so much sense. I mean, the worst part about karaoke is having to hear people you don't know sing that aren't good at singing. So if you can have your own little space, I feel like it's more enjoyable for everybody.
yes, it is. And Japanese people in particular are so patient about people singing. I mean, it's a part of their culture, so
Mhm.
they are used to going to karaoke with their um, uh, working colleagues, and of
Uh-huh.
course, it's like 40-year-old uncles and aunts, and so they are not supposed to be go good at singing. So they all, if you go somewhere with the Japanese people to the karaoke, for example, they are always so patient. They say it's okay, just enjoy yourself, and
Aw.
yeah, they never tell you like stop singing. Maybe you should not be singing.
Oh,
They understand that the main thing is to just enjoy it.
just have fun. Oh, that's so cool. That's awesome. Now I definitely want to go. I'm like shy. I love to sing too. I sing in the shower all the time, but karaoke's never been my thing just because I'm used to the karaoke like you are, where you're in a bar and there's all these people and it's intimidating. So that sounds way more up my alley. That's really cool. Now, did you have any like I don't know, was the weather a transition for you? Was there any change when it comes to that sort of thing?
With the weather, it was quite a wild ride because when I first came to Japan in 2017 as a tourist, I came in August, and it's
Hmm.
the hottest time of the year, and it was plus 36, 38
Wow.
in the sunlight, and I felt like melting because in Russia we don't get this kind of summer. At least where I'm from, in Russia,
Right.
in Moscow we have like plus 30 max, and
Wow.
here it was like sauna all along, and I thought, yeah, that must be a very warm country. And
Hmm.
when I was preparing to move here, um, I packed my things with this thought in my mind: it's a warm place, I don't have to bring a lot of warm things. But when I
Hmm.
came here and winter came, I was like, why is it so cold? It is so cold. And at least where I am, in Kofu,
Uh-huh.
where iCLA is, it's a city surrounded by mountains. And
Uh-huh.
in summer, hot air just stays
Settles, yeah.
it stays inside those mountains. But in winter, somehow, I don't know how, there is this cold wind blowing all through the whale. And it is so
Wow.
cold. And you know, this spring I managed to sneak back to Russia and return
Hmm.
to Japan. And so this winter I was wearing two coats and some very warm clothes here because it was really, really cold. But
Uh-huh.
officially it's plus 9 Celsius.
Oh, really?
And
It
then
must be the winds.
yeah, it must be the wind.
Yeah.
So I fly to Russia. I walk out. It's minus 18, and I feel like, yeah, that's okay. I can do. I
Feels
can deal.
normal.
That's quite normal. I mean, it must have something to do with the humidity too. But it was
Hmm.
really a mind blowing experience because I was wearing the same clothes as I was wearing in Japan.
Right.
But in Japan, I felt like really, really cold, and minus 18 in Moscow. Can deal. Can
Yeah.
deal.
That's so interesting. So, what advice would you give students when it comes to handling the weather if they study at iCLA? What have you learned in your time? Like, how can you face that chilly wind?
So with the chilling winds, it's really just the warm clothes and keep your neck warm and your legs, your ankles warm. That's
Okay.
where the most warmness gets out of you. So you have to keep them warm. And
Right.
there are also the air conditioning units and in any housing in Japan, and particularly in the iCLA dormitory, for example. So they keep you warm. Sometimes it's costly, but in the iCLA dormitory, everything is included, so you don't have to
Yeah, you
pay.
don't have to worry about it. You'll have
Yes,
heat.
yes, and then so that part is quite easy, but also you have to be really careful about summer. If you have sensitive skin or very white skin, you have to be very careful because the sun is really burning. I had a friend with sensitive skin who just walked out for 30 minutes in April and she got sunburned. Because the
Wow.
sun starts being really, really hot here very,
Mhm.
very early on. So you have to be careful. You have to wear sunscreen. And I don't say don't come, but you just have to keep that in mind if you have
Be
sensitive
prepared.
skin. Yeah. And
That's a
also,
really, yeah, really good advice. Like dealing with those different extremes of weather that can be hard to kind of plan for.
yeah, it's just it's something that I don't know, maybe other people do a better research than I do before moving somewhere, but it wasn't something I was ready for. I didn't
Uh-huh.
know the sun was so strong here, even knowing that it is so hot. I was just thinking,
Hmm.
hot, just hot, but it really gets into your skin. And also, so you get tanned really fast. And,
Hmm.
you know, Japanese people in particular, they are used to covering their skin, and they say, yeah, I have to keep my skin white. So for me it has been not so much as an issue, but uh, I have been told, why don't you cover your skin because it is white and so beautiful? And I say, yeah, in Russia, if you are 10, you are considered rich because you had the funds to go
Yeah,
to
yeah, you went on
skiing.
vacation. You got
Yeah, they had vacation.
tan.
Yeah, so and it's it really made me self-conscious at one point in time because many people told me that at once in
Yeah.
summer when I first came. But if you don't have that tradition of trying to keep your skin white, and don't listen to them. It's just
Yeah. I think that's another one of those just like cultural differences. Different cultures have different ideas of beauty and what's beautiful and what you seek to look like. I think everybody should just be happy with who they are.
yeah,
But it's interesting, those are the kinds of things, those sort of uncomfortable questions that people ask you, and you have to kind of figure out like, why do they care about that? Why, what's the
yeah.
what's the story behind this? All right, Anastasia. So we're about to wrap up, but before we do, for any of our viewers, if you have any questions for Anastasia about life as a student in Japan or about iCLA, you can write them in the comments. And while we wait to see if anybody asks a question, Anastasia, I'll just ask you some final advice, for other international students who, you know, maybe they're not looking for Japan specifically, but they know they don't want to go someplace traditional, or even for the ones who do want to see Japan. What advice would you give them as they're like heading out on their journey?
Hmm. Well, I just repeat myself from before and just try to be open to new experiences. They might not be as you expect them to be, and the people you meet might not meet your expectations. But that's okay. It's okay. You might not like Japan, or you might like it even more than you expected, and
Uh-huh.
just embrace it. I know saying just do it is kind of really easy, and when you really experience it, it might be quite hard, but when life gets hard, it's okay too. So
Yeah. It's a
and
learning experience.
it's a learning experience, exactly. And don't listen to people who try to tell you what you should think about something. Just make up your own mind. You have some kind of image of things and countries and people. Just explore them yourself and try to not rely too much on other people's opinions.
That's wonderful advice. I see so many students who follow what their friends do or do what their parents want them to do. And it's like you're missing out on a phase in your life where you can really do whatever it is you want to do. This is the time that you try things out and you have new experiences and you explore places you may not have thought you could explore. And yeah, it's all just about being open and taking on the experience as it comes. Because no matter what, good or bad, you're going to learn something. So thank you for pointing that out, Anastasia. Oh, it was so nice chatting with you. This was so interesting for me. I've loved to hear your perspective.
Thank you for having me again. And I was really glad to share my experience. I hope it helps someone to maybe make up their mind or think maybe I could go to Japan. I would really be glad to welcome anyone who would like to come here at iCLA.
Oh, that's awesome. I know. Now I'm like thinking about my past dreams. Like I said, like, oh, I just wanted to see Harajuku so bad. Well, thank you so much, Anastasia. And Rob, thank you so much for setting this up. To all of our viewers, Rob is the guy in admissions. He's going to be the one helping you. And I'm sure Anastasia will be a smiling face when you arrive on campus. So don't be afraid to reach out to us, and we're all going to be here to support you on your journey. So thank you both so much again for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having us.
This morning for you. Sorry.
Thanks very much, Mackenzie. It's been a pleasure. And thanks, Anastasia. I think that was some really, really insightful things that you brought up there.
All right, you guys. See you next time. Thank you so much.